Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to the World of Wrestling podcast. Here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite, April 8th, 2026 review. This show was decent. I thought it told some good stories. I think the matches could live without them. Some of them were just fucking time consumption. Really, I really just thought that I didn't particularly care for the story, for the matches they were delivering. They were just filler matches to me. Let's just go over the matches themselves, the match card itself, and then go over the stories that were being told, because that's really what was more important on this show tonight. This was the go-home show to Dynasty, and I honestly think telling the stories that they told, they did a good job on. But the wrestling, I mean, I could have lived without. It was just a lot of filler and bullshit. The action started with a brawl, which that, I will admit, I don't know if that was them just taking a shit on WWE for basically going ahead and doing that as their way of telling a story each and every week going into WrestleMania. But that's what I'm going to believe, that's what that's for, is to make fun of them without coming out right and saying that they're making fun of them. This led to Will Ospreay pretty much saying that the United Kingdom, I think they're called, that they're going to face each other in a 8-man no-holds-barred match or something. Basically, your version of the Anarchy in the Arena match. So, if Will Ospreay happens to lose at Dynasty, which I think he's going to, because he doesn't need the Continental Championship, they're going to lean on a Double or Nothing Anarchy in the Arena match with this group again against Jon Moxley's Death Riders, which honestly will be redundant, and I will shit all over it when it does happen, because it will happen. I know that for a fact. This was absolutely ridiculous. The match did not need to happen on this show. I think what the story that they told in the closing moments of the show with Kenny Omega and MJF was the only thing we needed to see at the end. And they could have cut that fucking match with Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley's groups going at it off the show completely. This was good enough to me. I don't think it was necessary to book a match on top of it. So I wasn't really for that. That's one criticism I will say about the show tonight. So they kind of booked themselves in a corner where they're going to be redundant trying to do an Anarchy in the Arena match. So, whatever. But our very first match of the night was actually, hold on, let me get to it. Well, Don Callis also responds by telling the audience that Kyle Fletcher's out with an injury, so he won't be wrestling anytime soon, and the TNT title has been stripped from him. So that's a definite fail for AEW, because Kyle Fletcher will be missed on this show. I think Kyle Fletcher's an excellent talent, and hopefully we get something out of this when he gets back, maybe a run for the AEW World title eventually, but unfortunately he's injured. So our first match of the night was the Trios tag team match with Darby Allin, Jack Perry, and Bandito against Andrade, Takeshita, and Mark Davis. Andrade's team end up winning the matchup. Andrade looked like he was walking away from this, but kind of fooled Darby Allin into a trap. And this led to Andrade's team ending up winning and beating Darby Allin's team. After the match was over, Perry is triple team as Allin crawls in the ring. He shoves Andrade. Andrade then low blows Allin. Davis holds Perry as he is he is gouged in the eyes, and the music of Young Bucks hits, and as they run down to the ring to make the save, Lance Archer comes in but is super kicked, and the Bucks send Hechicero to the outside and hit a BTE trigger on Mark Davis. Then Okada came out to distract the Bucks as Takeshita then hits the Bucks from behind. Okada and Takeshita then stand face to face. Okada and Takeshita exchange blows. Hechicero and Archer tried to separate Takeshita and Okada, still telling a story without Okada having the Continental Championship, which I don't know why that wouldn't be in the cards for them to unify the titles back together to have the Unified Championship back on the show, but whatever. The Rascals then come in to take out Okada, Takeshita, and Archer. Myron Reed makes sure Okada stays down, and the Bucks and the Rascals stand tall in the ring. I thought this was absolute fucking crap. This is a schmoz fest of guys brawling and doing dumb shit. Didn't care for this whatsoever. So we go backstage with Lexi Nair talking to Dr. Michael Sampson, providing an update on Kenny Omega. Sampson says that Omega is cleared and is in the best shape of his life. Sampson says that MJF is trying to get in Omega's head, and that's basically it. Why this segment was on the show, I have no idea. That I didn't care for either. That's another criticism I will say sucked. Back from the break, the music of Queen Aminata hits. We get the TBS Women's Championship match. Willow Nightingale and Queen Aminata. Don't care for this match. Obviously, Willow Nightingale retained her championship. And then after the match, Willow picks up Aminata as Shida is shown looking on with her kendo stick in hand. So, Hiro Shida is actually coming back to AEW. Oh, God. We also get a video package of MJF's highlights and what he's done in AEW up to now. Same with Kenny Omega later on in the show. We got that as well, which I thought was pretty cool. Then we go to Chris Jericho. We get a short Jericho chant. Jericho thanks the fans and says it's good to be back. He says that he's going to make his return official by signing his new AEW contract. Jericho talks about how he took a big risk in 1990 going into pro wrestling, and it was a big risk in 2019 with signing with AEW, and that he is excited to continue to help build AEW that he helped start. And I believe that full-heartedly. I believe that is part of the work of the promo and also in reality true. I think he is there to help make sure that AEW is a success. He has been a huge part of AEW and why AEW is still here. I believe that full-heartedly. Without Jericho, they wouldn't have had the first world champion being a big star holding that title. You can talk about all your Kenny Omegas, Cody Rhodes would have been another option they could have gone with, but he wasn't established throughout all of different wrestling promotions. He was making it big on the indie scene. So, Cody could have been a good choice as well, but at the same time, I think Jericho was the right choice, and eventually they ran it back to Hangman Page, who I really wanted to see win the championship from Jericho in that first ever world title match, but I understood when they booked it for Jericho to win why they were doing it. It made sense to me and so on, so I didn't have any issues with it, but I was in the camp of Hangman Page winning the world title, which I would have been cool with if they would have went in that direction. But then again, they wouldn't have brought as many eyes to the screens, I think. And I think maybe he wasn't just ready for that move yet. It was just to see how he would do with a big timer like Jericho. And he was pretty successful, and I didn't have any problems with him doing that. So he goes ahead and he gets ready to sign the contract. And then all of a sudden, the demand comes out with Ricochet. And apparently, he starts talking shit about how crappy Canada is. Starts talking about how Jericho should go back to, being with his band Fozzy and traveling the U.S. and around the world and doing his concerts and doing his cruise line thing that he does from time to time, and just focus on that, not even be involved in wrestling. This eventually led to Jericho pretty much saying, okay, well, there's something I need to tell you. I also have a clause in my contract that states that I have a choice to choose whoever I want to face at Dynasty after signing this contract. He said it could be you, it could be the popcorn guy in the 14th row, it could be my cousin who lives here in Canada for Dynasty. But, since you want to come out here and flap your gums and talk a lot of shit, you know what? You're my opponent at Dynasty, and he signs the document. He signs the contract. It was a last-minute thing. It was a thing that they just threw out there, and some people might say this is a reward for Ricochet. Even if in a loss, he's still being rewarded. I would have to agree with that, but in the same breath, I think Tony Khan's looking at it like I'm punishing him because he's taking an L. It's lowering his stock. He's been taking L's. He took an L losing his national championship, and he's now going to take an L at Chris Jericho. But what Tony Khan fails to understand is Jericho is a big fucking name. Jericho is like the Undertaker of AEW. So anybody that's facing Jericho is, even in a loss, is being rewarded for this. So people are going to look at this differently than how Tony Khan's perspective is. The only way he could rectify this is by having Ricochet lose in like less than 5 minutes on a pay-per-view event. If he ends up having Jericho go over on Ricochet in less than 5 minutes, then at that point, people can say, okay, apparently Ricochet is being punished for the comments he made on X about the person with MS, multiple sclerosis. So, if that's what he ends up doing to, punish Ricochet, that would be lowering his stock quite a bit. That would be telling the audience, I'm not happy with what he did. He's being punished for it. That's why he's got a 5-minute match with Jericho instead of a normal size match on a pay-per-view size show. And he just gets his ass whooped. End of story. The Judas effect and then the walls of Jericho and make him tap out, and that's it. I mean, that's the direction they could go with as a way of showing the audience that, hey, he's being punished. But if he gives him like a 10-15 minute match, he's really just, he doesn't get the point of what people are going to see as this is not a punishment, even in a loss. So I honestly think that if Tony Khan wants to make people think he's being punished for his comments, he needs to put him out of his misery real quick and end him quickly. That's the way I see it. But I'm not the guy running the show. It's Tony Khan, the wet behind the ears guy who loves pro wrestling, and I respect him for that. But at the same time, he's got to also, be able to know when to hold him and when to fold him and stand up and be a boss. It's one thing to be friends with these guys because you get along with them and shit like that, which is cool. But at the same time, you also got to know when the line has been crossed. And Ricochet, when his comments hurt your business, you need to do the active thing as a boss and punish him for it. You don't go ahead and say, I'm glad you got MS, multiple sclerosis from to a random fan who's just criticizing them. Whether it is the right criticism that they're giving or not, you don't say that about somebody's fucking health. That's absolutely ridiculous. And it's very unprofessional, too, to be saying that kind of shit to a random person out of the blue who has a bad health condition. It really is shitty to do. So yeah, that's the whole gist of that segment. Next we go backstage with Lexi Nair talking to Don Callis' family. Callis says Andrade is going to put Darby in the dirt. Callis says it will be the Young Bucks against Takeshita and Okada as a team. And he knows, hey, these two don't like each other, but he prefers it that way because, hey, like a dynasty for a basketball team like Jordan and Scottie Pippen, if they didn't get along, the owners of the company didn't care. They cared about them gelling together and winning together. And that's all that mattered to them. And that's how Don Callis feels about his group. So if they want to have competition, see who's the better man, that's fine with him. But he also wants them to team together when it's necessary. And in this case, he wants them to team together. I don't think this is going to work. I think the Young Bucks are going over in this matchup. Next we had a Casino Gauntlet #1 entrant. Why the fuck would you book I didn't even know this was actually booked for a match to be the #1 entrant in a Casino Gauntlet match. The fuck would you do that for? And why would you want to win this match? You're going to be the first one in the fucking match. You do this for like the last entrant, not the first one. If I was in this matchup, I'd fucking purposely lose. I wouldn't have to be the first entrant in the match. Tommaso Ciampa ends up winning this match against Mesco Dorado. Like, who fucking cares? This match, I didn't even barely pay attention to this. Don't give a fuck. We go backstage with the War Dogs, Clark Connors, David Finlay, and Gabe Kidd. They're beating the shit out of Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong. And they pretty much announced that they want shots at the Spanish the luchador wrestler and Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight for the Trios Tag Team titles on Collision. Big whoop. Anyway, back from the break, Lexi Nair is with Tekla. Oh, this was good. This was a good one. So, Tekla goes ahead and tells Lexi she will take her to a club after she's taken her out for dinner, bring her to a strip club, put her on the stage, and break her fingers. If she even mentions one more time about Jamie Hayter becoming world champion at one point in time in her career. She says because Tekla wasn't there when she won the title, and if she was, she would have beat her fucking ass each and every time, and she would have never sniffed a world title ever. She said that she will beat her to death and kick her ass like the bitch that she is, pretty much. Straightforward, nothing out of the ordinary crazy, but it was, in my personal opinion, effective. And this woman, Tekla, is fucking awesome. My problem is I am hearing the rumbles of Mercedes Moné being announced and being brought up to people's minds that she's going to be making a return. She has already dropped all the 50 million titles she's won. And now she is in line to coming back to AEW. I'm imagining she's going to come back after Dynasty, so we'll probably see her on the Fallout show of Dynamite from Dynasty, and she'll probably be there. God help us, and Tekla is going to be dropping the title probably at All In to Mercedes Moné. Oh joy, oh joy. What a fucking load of shit that is. Anyway, like I said, I'm liking AEW, but the show still ain't perfect. I mean, honestly, why the fuck would Mercedes Moné deserve a shot when she's lost 13 fucking titles and lost both times for the major world championship? To me, it makes no fucking sense. Anyway, back in the arena, Adam Copeland, Christian Cage make their entrances. They cut a promo on FTR. Copeland says that jealousy is what blew up FTR. Copeland says FTR saw themselves as henchmen for him. And Copeland says the CNC Dynasty will take their rightful place at the AEW World Tag Team Champions. Christian says, for FTR has pissed off Cage and Cope and the entire country of Canada. Cage says that FTR has been naughty and forced to pay a visit to their mothers. And Cage says he thanked them both because he fucked both of their mothers. Cage then says he doesn't want Stokes' mother to be left out, and he'll visit her after they win the tag team titles. So he's gonna go fuck FTR's mother, which is she's probably old as fuck, older than him too. Probably in the old age home, for all we know. This brings out FTR as the champs, and Stoke come out from behind. Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero attack Cage and Copeland from behind. FTR takes out Cage in the ring. Trent then takes out Copeland with a chair on the outside, and Cage is held up by FTR as Stokely spears him. Which I do not understand why we're seeing Christian Cage getting speared by Stokely, but whatever. Then Dax Hardwood puts a chair on the arm of Cage, and Cash Wheeler then drops a stomp from the second rope, and Cage sells the injury. The Rolex that was around Cage's wrist was taken from Stokely before the stomp. And, yeah. Backstage, we get a promo from Darby Allin, which was outstanding. I enjoyed his promo. Very intense, very pissed off about the loss that he took in tonight's show. I thought this was very good. Talking about his upcoming match with Andrade at Dynasty, and that he is not sure if he can be the face of AEW. Allen says he needs this win more than anything in the world, so that he can get closer to becoming a world champion, possibly, which won't happen, obviously. He's just the guy that's going to be a building block towards the All-In pay-per-view for Will Ospreay to win the world title from MJF. If they don't go that route, I'll be very surprised. So then they have a Chaos in Canada 6-man tag team match with the IWGP World Champion Callum Newman. They have Renee for Cisco Akira and Will Ospreay. It's actually a 4-on-4 match, 8-man tag team match. That's really a hardcore match, tornado, whatever. This was not necessary. I'm sorry to tell you guys, but yeah, this is the United Empire. I don't particularly care that this match took place, as I already stated. We didn't need this match to happen. This could have been saved for Double or Nothing. Obviously, that's where they're going to go with it anyway. But they are not doing it. So, it is what it is. Anyway, moving on here. Tony Schiavone introduces Kenny Omega. Omega says that it's been 25 years since he has been in Edmonton. He talks about how he would hop in a car and wrestle in the Independence in Edmonton. Omega says that the last week with MJF, he lost his cool. If it was not for Mike Bailey, he would have done something regretful. Omega brings up his diverticulitis, that disease he had with his intestines. As commentary brings it up every week, Omega says what has made him mad, his name, all his mockers. Omega says that it's the fans that gave him those names and incredible weight on his shoulders. AEW used to be a concept that just a place as a alternative. It was supposed to be, and Omega says MJF is the best at the mouth. Everything MJF can do, Omega can do better. He is the god of pro wrestling. Omega says that it was MJF that should have been pissed off. All he can do is talk, and that's it. Can never do what Omega can do in Japan. Tell a story with physical work. Omega says that he thought it was all on him to write the legacy and save the place where the best wrestle and put the belt on someone who can wrestle the best. Omega says he was wrong. It's not his legacy, but the legacy of the fans. The people deserve someone to wear the belt with pride, and it's not going to be MJF. Omega says he is not the same. Omega says he values the work more and working harder to protect what he once had. Omega says that in Vancouver, the belt he wears like the sweaty like blankie, he will take it from him and right the wrongs he has done in this company. This Omega makes a promise on the best version of Omega. In a way, folks, AEW is taking the story that WWE is failing to tell about how WWE is going in the dumps, and basically giving their spin on it and their version of it through MJF being a disrespectful, conniving, backstabbing, asshole champion that he is, and doesn't show respect to the fans, respect to the wrestlers that have helped build this company through their hard work, sweat, blood, and tears. And they're basically telling you the way it should have been told with Cody and Randy Orton. That's really the story that should have been told. Now, some people might criticize that, look at it in a negative perspective and say, well, they're just copying WWE. Or maybe, just maybe, they're just trying to tell the audience this is the way this storyline should have been told. Now, granted, either way, if you want to look at it as they're copycatting or piggybacking on WWE's storyline with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, okay, fine. You want to do that? That's fine. That's your right to believe that. My attitude is they're showing us the right way this should have been told for WWE. And they're applying it to this story with Kenny Omega and MJF. Which is the appropriate story anyway. Because MJF's character, the way he carries himself, is not a respectable champion. He's a dick. That's what makes him great at what he does, guys. That's what makes him amazing. That's why you can tell that story with him saying, with Kenny Omega saying, I need to save this company, and rip the hand out of MJF's hands, the world title out of his hands, because that is and he's expressed this in the promo, that is the only thing that makes MJF to him relevant. He needs that world championship like he needs air to breathe. He is their version of Triple H back in the day. That's it. When Triple H didn't have the world title, he didn't know what to do with himself. He was insecure. He didn't feel relevant. He felt nothing. That world championship filled his void. That world championship for MJF is the same exact thing. To him, that world title, if he ain't got it, he's nothing. That title needs to be around his waist at all times because he is an insecure person who needs that title to fill in the void to say he's the best. Without that title, he can't say he's the best, which drives him nuts. Which he's wrong. He can say he's the best without being the world champion. But the beauty of the story is, he needs that title. That title fulfills him at what he does. And that's the beauty of the story of this. The story is, take the title off of MJF, you kill MJF. You're basically stabbing him through the fucking heart. There you go. There's your fucking story. And each and every one of them that come up and try to take that title from him could tell a similar story and it still would work. Because that is the key. That is the story of MJF. MJF not being world champion will kill him. Anytime he's been away from that world title since he's won it, he's lost. He don't know what to do with himself. He tries to bargain with people. He does every cutthroat thing he can do to get back to his world championship, his Triple B. That's what he does. That's the beauty of MJF. That's what makes him a great heel, and that is why he is so fucking good at what he does. I fucking love MJF. And it is the truth. MJF leaves that company and goes to WWE. AEW's fucking finished. Until they can get someone to the level of the devil, and I mean legitimately, from talking, to the look, to the presentation, to the wrestling, all of it, all aspects of being a wrestler, until they can get that person, find that person that matches MJF at that level, they will be in dire straits. They need to develop more stars that can be like MJF. Or anywhere close to that, for that matter. Swerve Strickland, I think he's got that. I think Swerve Strickland's pretty damn good. Swerve's been off television for a while, which kind of sucks. But I guess the loss to Kenny Omega has kind of like give them a reason not to use him and bring him into storylines where he's not going to be showcased on the pay-per-view. So if that's the direction as to why they're not doing it, I can understand that and respect it. But me personally, there's nobody on this roster that can come close to MJF's work rate, talking ability, and presentation. Not one person. And any wrestling fan, I'm not talking about tribalistic wrestling fans that just stick with WWE or AEW. I'm talking about people that watch all varieties of different wrestling on television, top promotions, lower promotions in the U.S., overseas, like, fucking New Japan Pro Wrestling, Stardom, all those fucking names that know, Progress Wrestling, all that shit. Anyone that's a fan of professional wrestling will tell you that MJF is the best wrestler in the world today. Because he's got all of the different factors nailed down. There's not one wrestler that can come close to that. Maybe Cody Rhodes, but then again, Cody in WWE has been fucking stale as shit. So, and that's WWE creative for you. The promo that Cody cut was the most relevant thing. People are debating whether it's a fucking shoot or a work. My friend Matt 87 Eagle and I were debating that before I came on here to do the review, which is why this review is coming out later than normal. And, you can say whatever the fuck you want about it. I think it's a legit work. There ain't nobody in their fucking right mind go out on national television, says all the kind of shit about their current boss that just purchased the company a few years ago, and say that TKO is a bunch of shit. Go ahead and fire me. Let me tell you. And then have CM Punk do the exact same thing and talking about lowering ticket prices. I'm sorry to tell you folks, but this is all part of what TKO wants these wrestlers to do. Because if that was not the case, and Triple H was allowing them to just go out there and say this shit, on a shoot, not being actually part of the show, then I can promise you, the owner of TKO would have fired his ass. Would have fired Triple H. They would have kept CM Punk and Cody, probably reprimanded them and all that nonsense because they need them. They're the top marquees of the show, and that's probably that's the whole point of why they had them do that as a work, because they're the top guys for this entire event for WrestleMania. So there's your reasoning there on that. But yeah, if this was a shoot, Triple H would be fired right on the spot. This is all approved by TKO and has been told from Triple H to tell them that they can go do that. And that's it. So, you can say whatever the fuck you guys want about that. Debate it till the cows come home. It's a fucking work. There ain't no doubt about it. And it was a last minute, by the seat of your pants idea that they threw in there out of desperation to get people to buy fucking tickets to go see the event. And they're going to lower the ticket prices for this event because it is too fucking expensive and people are showing their grievances towards it by not purchasing the fucking tickets. People can't afford all this shit. So yes, they're going to lower the prices even more coming closer to WrestleMania, and they're going to do that for that specific reason. And then once WrestleMania comes by and disappears, we're going to go right back to square one again, and probably, hopefully, people don't buy tickets then either. And they eventually have to give in or be willing to lose profit if that's what they prefer to do, so they can keep their prices at extraordinary amounts of money so that they can rob people of their own hard-earned money that they work very hard for at their lame-ass 9-to-5 job. My ass will never be doing that because my 9-to-5 job doesn't even allow me to buy tickets like that. So, whatever. But anyway, getting back to this. So, let's see where we were at. So Omega says he values work more and working harder to protect what he once had. Omega says that Vancouver... Oh, I already stated all this. So Omega makes a promise on the best version of Omega. And all that. This brings MJF out. MJF says he was listening and talking like in 2026 he's better and will beat him. MJF says Omega and the stupid moron fans should talk him up and down. The fans are scared. This might be Kenny's last shot at a title, and it will be his last shot, and the clock is ticking on Omega's career. MJF brings up the last time they wrestled, Omega was at 75%. Will Omega's excuse be after Sunday? MJF says that what he loves more than anything, he will be able to find out the hard way. MJF wants the best version in the ring, and he will find out he is not on the level of the devil, and in front of Canada and the world, their God will fall, and the devil will rise on top where he belongs. MJF tells Omega he is better than him, and he knows it. Omega says he learns a little more about MJF every single week. It has made him learn that what it takes to protect the title would mean enough if he would shake his challenger's hand before Sunday. For the sake of the cameras in Canada, let's let bygones be bygones for a legendary main event, and demands MJF to shake his damn hand. MJF tosses the mic and goes to punch Omega, but he ducks and nails MJF with a knee. Omega says that MJF is very predictable. Omega grabs the Dynamite diamond ring. He says at the end of the pay-per-view, Omega then does his goodnight promo, and Omega takes off the ring and drops it on MJF. And Omega leaves the ring as the show goes off the air. I like this. And I'll tell you why. This is going to force MJF to have to do something different in this ring that he hasn't done before, that Kenny Omega's not going to expect coming. What that is, I don't know. Maybe there's a new guy that comes in to distract Kenny Omega in the middle of this match, where Kenny Omega builds a storyline off of this for the next pay-per-view. Because that's the direction I think it possibly could go to. Or maybe it's something MJF does actually in the ring himself that takes Kenny Omega off guard. Whatever that might be, I don't know. That's the interesting part about this. This is going to be a creative move that, if done correctly, will be successful. If it's done with no creativity and MJF wins like his typical normal way he wins all the time, this will be a fail. And I will be sitting here telling you guys that it's a fail and openly admit that. Because obviously, from what you guys have heard from me lately since 2026 has started, is positivity about AEW and me just shitting all over WWE. This is not favoritism. This is me just speaking what I have seen. I see AEW has made positive progressions compared to what they've done last year, and especially compared to what WWE has done, and WWE's bar is so fucking low that someone taking a shit in the middle of the ring probably could do a better show than what WWE's been doing. So between those two things, what they've done last year compared to now, and what WWE's doing this year, I would have to say that AEW's pretty damn successful this year. Are they over the top great? No, I can't say that. Obviously, from what you heard, I had some criticisms about this episode, but this episode was not an utter fail. There was some fails here and there, especially with the matches. I mean, like, they had no purpose on the show. They were just fill-ins, and that's it. But as it came to telling stories amongst the important matches that are being booked for this show at Dynasty, I think they did a good job with. So overall, I would say it's a mid-show. I wouldn't say it was great by any means, but it was watchable. It wasn't terrible. We didn't see brawls every fucking segment. I mean, WWE is getting closer and closer to WrestleMania, and I have never seen so many brawls per segment in a show like I have seen this year. This has been absolutely absurd with the amount of brawls we have seen. Like, there's no control over the inmates. This is nuts. AEW, yeah, they had some brawls tonight. Do we see that every fucking night? I don't think so, but maybe I'll go back and look at that and see if that's the case. But, I mean, every segment isn't a fucking full-on brawl. So, I mean, it is what it is. But you guys can take it, leave it, whatever. Hey, if your attitude and your perspective of AEW is in the negative, okay, that's your biz. You are entitled to that. If you're not enjoying the show, if there's something more that you expect from it, or you maybe want to tell me in the comments down below, by all means, go ahead. I have no problem. I'm open-minded. I have no issues hearing what other people's perspective is that's different from mine. It's not the end of the world. It's wrestling, guys. It's just fucking wrestling. So if my attitude is positive, your attitude about it is negative, it's not a big fucking deal. It really isn't. And honestly, is there anything you or I can do to change that? No, the only ones that can change that is the people with the pen. We don't have the pen in our hands. So, it is what it is. Do I think they can do better? Yes, absolutely. But what we're getting from them is way better than what we were getting from them last year, and way better than what WWE's given to us now. So, if you want to sit here and bitch and complain still, even with the improvements they've made, then, you know, I don't know what to tell you. But at least they're doing something to improve the product. It's not to the level of what they were when they first started, but shit, it's a hell of a lot better than what it was last year. That I can promise you. But anyway, guys, at this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching. And have a great night, guys. Bye.